Welcome everybody to a World of Tanks replay. My name is Maxwell and this first replay comes from the user Julian R94. That is Julian R94 and he's driving a Comet on a standard battle on the Mountain Pass. Comet being a tier 7 medium tank for the British. You know my opinion on this tank, I don't think it's the greatest in the world. It's shot in the rear there for some reason. A little bit of rage from a teammate at being very slightly rubbed against by a Comet. But then you do get players like that and you just have to ignore them. And carry on. So straight away Julian going to be heading to the far left hand flank. I'm going to be setting up in a sniper position. Going to try and take out some people who present themselves as targets. Looks like an IS-3 is making a suicide run straight across the open field there. He gets a great shot on that Hellcat to get a very early kill there. And just keeping an eye on this VK30-02 as he's going to be a bit of a liability. Just giving him a little bit of a friendly ribbing in chat. Looks like a few of these tanks have lost some health already. Finds a Jagdpanther 4 behind them, but what a fantastic shot there to hit him, set him on fire, and take him out. It just gives the VK another little ram just to let him know who the boss is. Gonna set him, try and get a hit on this Rheinmetall, but it looks like he's got a little bit of sixth sense. And just drops back behind the hill before Julian's able to land a shot. Just going to keep an eye on this bridge, as it looks like the enemy is trying to make a push across there. There is already an IS-3 across. And if that Rheinmetall does decide to try and make a move, it will be nice to try and take him out as he's going across the exposed area there. KV-4 is coming around from the left-hand flank there. So it looks like the platoon mates here just going to bail out, because that's not really a fight that they can take on and win. Especially not in a Comet. Does find a Jagdpanther 2, lands a fantastic shot through his side armor. And this gun may not be the best in the world, but it is going to do good work on the side armor of tanks. Unfortunately, just lacking a little bit of accuracy at range there, although that was very, very far away. Finds the Rheinmetall, he's finally making a move. Got to start moving those, he's aiming in on this location. Just going to head forwards and backwards to try and throw off his aim. The Rheinmetall fires and misses. Gets his track taken out by the ISU. Luckily, no actual damage there. Not sure where that ISU was firing from. Probably all the way down the river there, or possibly up on the bridge. It looks like the enemy team does have a couple of ISU 152s. Trying to make a run for it up the hill, but just gets trapped by the corpse of a fallen comrade. Jagdpanther moves out of the way to let him through. KV-4 set up and is firing on them now. Returns fire, but obviously the Comet is going to never ever be able to penetrate a KV-4 frontally unless he is using APCR ammunition. Hide behind these rocks. He's got a Ferdinand and a Jagdpanther, and they should be able to duel pretty well with a KV-4. Pokes himself out. KV-4 looks like he's looking in this direction for some reason, even though the Comet isn't the biggest threat. Probably the only one that he's got the ability to fire upon. Going to focus in on the lower plate with the APCR ammunition. And this is the only way he's going to really be able to hurt him. As you can see, second shot doesn't do any damage. Third just flies over his head. See if he can sneak another one through the turret. Not quite. As you can see, the KV-4 is a very, very difficult customer to crack, especially when you've got this very, very poor cannon. Decides that he's had enough of dueling with this KV-4. He's going to leave the Jagdpanther and the Ferdinand to their fate. Just having a look to see if he can get one last shot before he leaves, but he's got to pay attention to the bridge now, as there is 3 tank destroyers pushing over there, and they've only got an IS-3. Decides to stick around, as that IS-3 isn't in imminent danger of death. So he's going to move in and try and take out that KV-4. Thanks to the fact that the Jagdpanther has now decided to push down on him. Hopefully the Jagdpanther can take his attention so that Julian can sneak around the side. Does see the ISU 152 in the river here. Lands one good shot on him. Going to try and get another. It looks like he gets taken out by the T74. That was a lovely little 1-2 there. Now he's going to come around the side of the Jagdpanther. The Jagdpanther fires. KV-4 fires in return, which means he's not going to be loaded, and Julian can hopefully get a couple of good shots into him to take him out. Jagdpanther finishes him off. Now it's going to be a case of switching attention back to the bridge, or the other side of the valley here, to offer some support to this T44. Rheinmetall pops up on the radar. He's only got 12 hit points, so he's not going to be doing any poking whatsoever, as he doesn't have the armor. Looks like he did spot the IS-3 for the ISU 152, and the ISU 152 takes out the IS-3. Ammo racked him to boot. Not finding the Rheinmetall just yet. Looks like he hasn't killed the IS-3 and then came charging around the corner, as you would expect most tank destroyers to do. Going to see if he can find the ISU 152, at least making his way across the bridge, unless he's a little bit too late and he's already here somewhere. Or if he's decided to back off. There he is there. He lands one good shot. ISU 152 fires and misses. Didn't manage to penetrate with his second shot. Rheinmetall also there. And they both scurry behind the rock there to try and take cover, and Julian's going to try and get a shot on somebody. Lands a great hit on the Rheinmetall there to take him out. Now he's going to try and get a shot on the ISU 152. Got to be careful though, as the 152 has a mega cannon on it, which will be able to do some serious damage to this Comet if he is allowed to fire. Going to advance forward now, just trying to squeeze past the turret of this IS-3. Finds the ISU 152. Lands one good shot on his side. Takes a hit from the ISU 152, but it's all absorbed by his track there, and that's really bad luck for the ISU 152. Just waiting for that track to be repaired. Comes around the corner. He's got all the time in the world. Takes his shot. Takes him out for kill number 4. Looks like it's just in time as well, as a Type 62 has appeared behind him. He's just not going to take on that fight, and he's going to bail out of there. Unfortunately gets his track hit. Didn't want to square off against the Type 62, especially considering that they are losing the game, 11 kills to 13. There's only himself and this T44 remaining. As you can see, the Tiger 1 also appeared behind him there. Few enemy tanks were in and around their cap circle, but it looks like they've just bypassed that totally to come for the bridge and come for the kill. Looks like both Tigers are there, actually. It's only the T32 that's unaccounted for at the moment. That T44 is dueling with people on the bridge, so it looks like Julian's going to try and flank around behind them. And we're just going to speed this one up a little bit until we get back into the action. A little bit of driving and repositioning going on here. And as you can see, the Type 62 has done the smart thing and flanked all the way around behind the T44. He's now caught between a rock and a hard place. He's going to have to spin around and focus all of his attention on this Type 62, but he gets taken out now, and that leaves Julian all alone against two Tiger 1s, a T32 and a Type 62. Totally outgunned. Let's hope he's not outclassed. He's going to be able to do something to come up with the victory here. He's got to try and pick these tanks off one by one, so if they're moving together, he's going to be in trouble. Gets a good hit on this Tiger 1. Tiger 1 doesn't know where it's coming from. Traverses his turret all over the place. There we go. Finally turns his gun and manages to bounce a shot amazingly. Type 62 also manages to bounce. Tiger 1 lands another shot but doesn't seem to do any damage. There we go. The Type 62 finally does some damage. Gets an ammo rack on the Tiger 1. Now he's going to try and work down this Type 62. He's done a little bit of damage to him here. Lands one shot, misses that one. One more is all he needs. He takes it. He gets kill number 6. A well-deserved Top Gun medal. Finds the second Tiger. He's only got 181 hit points. Probably not enough for him to take out in one shot. Tiger 1 moves out into the open. He's playing a little bit smart here. Julian doesn't quite have a penetrating shot. He's in a good side-scraping position. He's got to be aware of this T32, though, and what direction he might be coming from. as he was last spotted up on that hill. Lands a great shot on the Tiger 1, but does take some damage in return. He's just going to wait for this Tiger 1 to poke himself out, see if he can get him. Has a shot at the cupola there. Doesn't quite land. His second one does. Takes him out for kill number 7. Now it's a case of trying to hunt down this T-32. He did what he needed to do. He managed to pick off the tanks singly, except for the first Tiger 1, the Type 62, but they may as well have been singly. He's going to try and head down the hill at the most dangerous point. Looks like the T-32's actually in the base. I was kind of half expecting the T-32 to be running around the mountain with the Comet, trying to pick him off, and that he was going to be appearing behind him any second now, but it looks like he was actually going for the base capture. He's asking in chat how many hit points the T-32 has. It looks like it is 298. So this is going to be at least 2 shots, possibly 3 from Julian, but to be honest, he's got 427 hit points. He's got APCR. He can just drive out. He can just drive out, take the T-32 shot in the face, and he should easily reload before the T-32 was. About a 10-second reload. He should be able to get 3 shots off before the T-32 fires. First one bounces. He takes his hit from the T-32, but it only gets eaten by his track. He takes out the track of the T-32. Can he land another shot? He can, but it's not quite enough. He's going to get hit by the T-32. He loses some hit points, but the T-32 loses his life. That's kill number 8. A well-deserved Radley Walters medal, 3,500 points of damage, and really coming up big for his team, winning that one pretty much single-handedly for his team. So awesome replay there by Julian R94. Thank you very much for sending that one in. Don't forget to stick around, because as always, the score screens and another game are coming right up. And this replay was sent in by the user Dead Apple. That is Dead Apple, and he's driving the T71 on a standard battle on live Orcs. T71 being a tier 7 light tank for the Americans. Has that auto loader cannon, the pretty nice one as well. Carries 6 shells in the chamber. Decent penetration of 175 and damage of 150. Carries APCR shells as standard. So straight away, Dead Apple going to be heading all the way down that right hand flank, going to head to the south of the map with the rest of his light tank friends. He's got an awful Panther, a T37, a T69 in the back, and they're going to work down the first tank that they see, which turns out to be this Hellcat. Nice bit of work there not to pull the trigger straight away. It was probably going to allow him to crest the hill and come straight over, but somebody else was a little bit trigger happy there and had some shots at him. Dead Apple didn't want to give away his position and try and spot whoever else he can coming around over the top of the hill. But it looks like nobody else really coming in here, so they're going to advance forward. Dead Apple going to be moving forward with the T69. Doesn't look like the enemy team has put many tanks on this flank. So if these light tanks can push through pretty quickly, they might have an easy time of this one. Hellcat still on this flank, and if he's all alone, that's going to prove to be a little bit of a mistake on his part. Really should have backed out. There is a VK4502 in the background, but he's not really going to be able to stem the tide that is about to flow upon him. Dead Apple using the hill as cover to get all the way up in front of him and alongside him. He's going to start putting shots through his side and rear armor. There's nothing this VK4502 can do, so he's doing the smart thing of just totally ignoring Dead Apple. Although now he starts to traverse his turret around to try and take him out, which really he should have just ignored Dead Apple, as there wasn't anything he could do. He was just dead to rights, and he gets taken out now by the awful Panther. Now it's going to be a case of advancing forward. Gets hit by the Rheinmetall, but it looks like that one only took his track out. I'm not sure if it did that tiny bit of damage to him. Maybe he's firing... maybe he's firing high explosive ammunition, or that damage might have been from earlier when he was dueling with the 4502. Whatever it is, the Rheinmetall is probably a little bit annoyed at that. The fact that he didn't really do any damage. Deadapple going to be advancing up the hill here, seeing who he can spot out. Can't find anybody, but gets spotted out himself. So going to drop back down behind the hill. Going to maybe try and advance around the right-hand side. Does see the WZ. Can't really land anything on him. The Awful Panther probably doesn't have sixth sense, so he just charges straight over the hill. And he starts getting hit now. Takes a couple of hits from this AMX 50-100. Deadapple lands a couple of good shots in return. Third one flies over his head. He's going to drop back and reload his autoloader there. The Awful Panther actually got out with his life, which is very, very surprising considering he just crested that hill without a second thought. Deadapple playing a little bit smarter. He's just going to try and get eyes on the rest of the enemy team, who, to be honest, I'm not quite sure where the enemy team is. Because they didn't put anybody on this southern right-hand flank, and they only have as many tanks in the north as the Allies do. It looks like most of them camping back on that ridgeline. The Allies are winning at 8 kills to 7. So if they can just hold them in the town and then collapse on them from 2 different directions, they're going to have an easy time of this one. It looks like the last remaining tanks in the town aren't going to die easily. Trying to find the Type 64, as he just says in chat there. The Type 64 keeps spotting them every single time. Not quite sure where he is. Deadapple says to hell with it. He's going to be spotted, but at least he's going to have the hill as cover from the larger guns of the enemy team. Tiger 1 making a move back. Deadapple drops back, so he doesn't want to take too much fire. Penetration. Takes a couple of hits in the rear, actually, while he's putting shots into the side of the Tiger. So it looks like the Type 64 may be around this square here, the E6, as he did take a hit in the rear. He's going to use the hill as cover while he reloads that cannon of his. Only got a few seconds left. The T71 comes charging in. He takes the full attention of the WZ. Tries to take his track out, but didn't quite land that one. Didn't want to carousel around him, as he didn't want to open up his side armor to the enemy tanks in the town. Takes another hit in the rear, and there's a third one. Almost certainly going to be from that Type 64. Got to play it carefully now. Backs off and reloads his cannon. The WZ takes out the T71. And this has suddenly all gone horribly, horribly wrong. The tanks in the town in the north didn't win that fight. They got taken out. Some of the guys camping on the hill went up to help them. Type 64 is just spotting these lights and mediums all day long. Takes a big hit from the WZ there. But he's got all the time in the world now. He's got 10 seconds until the WZ reloads. Going to use him as cover, as doesn't want to get hit from this Type 64. As you can see, he's made a move across the water now. There he is. Does get a hit on the Type 64, but that is all, as he has to reload that autoloader. It's just himself and this GW Panther remaining against 4 tanks on the enemy team. And this one is shaping up to be a real nail-biter, just like the last battle. Comes down to 4 tanks left for the enemy and 2 for the Allies. He's going to head off towards the very south of the map while he reloads that gun. Last time the enemy tanks were spotted was all the way in the north. That Type 64 seems to be following him as he gets spotted out. One shot goes into the plantation building there. He's going to try and use some of the shape of the terrain as cover. Another shot comes in, but way ahead of him. Does lose a track by this Type 64, who's playing an excellent, excellent game. But it looks like He's going to be able to whittle him down. Just one more hit will be all it takes. He takes him out, and that's an excellent, excellent kill, as he was shaping up to be the most dangerous threat on the enemy team. Definitely the most competent player, but being able to burn him down quickly like that really is going to give them an edge in this fight. Only 3 enemy tanks left to 2 of the allies, and for some reason the Type 64 is bitching about Dead Apple using heat rounds when he most certainly did not use heat rounds. He used APCR. So maybe if that Type 64 player is somehow, somewhere magically watching this replay, he can see that it was indeed APCR, which is the regular ammunition for this tank, not the premium ammunition. So, it looks like somebody has tripped the alarm of the base, so there's at least 1 tank up there. Dead Apple is advancing forward, using the bushes as cover. And Type 64 is still persisting in the chat, saying that it was heat ammunition, saying that his combat log says it was heat ammunition. I think the combat log might have said it was APCR, and he doesn't realise that APCR is standard. Can't quite get any eyes on anybody in the cap circle there. It's a little bit unfortunate. He's going to have to advance forward. GW Panther's asking a spot. GW Panther is all the way in the south there. Oh, wow. The AMX 5100 with the surprise attack from the rear takes out the GW Panther. And Dead Apple is going to have to be careful here. He's got all the time in the world to focus in on this AMX M445. He does and takes him out, but he's got an AMX 5100 coming from the rear and an IS somewhere in the north. This AMX 5100 also has 4 kills, so he's probably quite a competent player. Dead Apple going to make a run for it across the open field. Going to use this little dip in the terrain to protect himself from the IS, which is probably somewhere along the A line right now. Could be around A7. Oh, no, he's right here for some reason. Carousels around him, takes him out. Surprise buttsex from the T71. Takes him out for kill number 5. Now he's just got this AMX 5100 to contend with. He's going to hide behind this building and allow his cannon to reload. Going to poke himself out a little bit. Use some of these bushes and some of these trees as cover. Although the trees don't provide nearly as much cover as you might think. Set up in the bushes. Looks like the AMX 5100 only has 365 hit points, but that is still 3 shots. So, just going to wait for this AMX 5100 to show himself. He was coming from the south, unless he is super smart and is flanked all the way around and is going to come up the 3 or the 4 line. And you would expect him to come from this direction. The AMX 5100 is a quick maneuverable heavy tank. So you can imagine that he may be coming up the 3 or the 4 line. Dead Apple is set up and waiting. We're going to speed this one up a little bit. And there we go. Finds the AMX 5100. He hasn't flanked all the way around. He is making a beeline for the cap circle. Has a shot and misses. Looks like he has probably not been lit up now. He's hiding behind the corpse of his fallen ally there. Can he land a hit on him? It looks like this is going to be a very, very difficult shot. Lands one, but that one didn't quite go through. Lands one. Nice shot. Zipped down to 218 hit points. He's got to reload that cannon. Now he's going to make a move. He's going to head all the way around the back, probably up to that A line, and then sneak all the way along using the road as cover. This is quite a short, quite a small, squat tank, so there should be more than enough terrain height to be able to hide him from the AMX 5100. Just trying to get a better angle, but it looks like he's defeated by the terrain and the buildings just now. Not quite able to see the AMX. There we go. The AMX lights up now, but it looks like he is still well in cover. Dead Apple's got to play this one very, very carefully, as he only has 11 hit points himself. It's not like he can just stand and brawl in front of the AMX 5100. He's got to do this cleanly. He's got 30 seconds on the cap clock, so it's now or never. He's going to have to try and carousel in as quickly as possible. Bursts over the terrain, gets one good hit. He's going to land another one. He lands it indeed. That's 6 kills, 3,800 points of damage. An absolutely excellent move there with the AMX 5100 looking in the wrong direction. It took him a split second to start traversing his turret, and it was way too long, and he gets taken out. So absolutely awesome. Awesome replay there from Dead Apple, showing off his skills in the T71. Thank you very much for sending that one in. And don't forget, guys, if you've got yourself a great replay, then please send that into replay@screenreality.com. The link for that is in the description. Just attach the replay file itself or the link to the What Replay website to the email, and I can check that one out for you. And if you enjoyed this video, you found it useful, informative, you learned something, or you just enjoyed it, then think about hitting that subscribe button, because there's a lot more World of Tanks content on this channel. I've been Maxwell, this has been World of Tanks Replays, and I'll catch you guys next time.